It's going pretty good.
Oh, it's glad not to be working. I did not realize I did 20-something thousand steps tonight.
Oh, there you go. I usually average about 15 to 20, um, 20,000 at work myself.
I
So
might be
a
a
day.
fat ass, but at least my legs are strong.
Glutes and thighs.
Exactly, buns and thighs.
Buns No,
Oh,
and thighs. Circuit Trois Riviere was the other
Yeah.
one.
Oh yeah. Sorry, we were discussing Canadian tracks off air, so because well, I guess we'll just kind of
well,
slip right into that. iRacing. Steve Myers posted on Twitter today about them looking at polls and bringing tracks to the service that fans want. And I just made a random off comment about Berlin Raceway, and Berlin Raceway commented back, and then apparently the tweet disappeared. They said who told you, and then the tweet went away. So who knows?
that'd be hilarious.
That will be hilarious. Although, like I said, I imagine it probably won't be for a minute. As we were waiting on Oswego and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But
I mean, hopefully, some
anyway,
racetrack would actually pick up the telephone to say it's a it's a
yeah,
scam. Click.
and
Meanwhile, Don's going to ask for a refund when he buys Oswego if he can't explode the foam.
Exactly. I want the phone to explode in the air. I want confetti, goddamn it. I already
it
got
just explodes and then reforms back. No caution.
yeah, I already got
Exactly.
10 people on freaking Facebook already liking my comments, and they'd better do it.
It's like the
So,
aero boards at Turn One Monza. You can punt them off, and then they just go and get reset.
Right.
yep. Yeah, or any of the cones on the track ever. So,
Yep, exactly.
but all right. Well, continuing in with some iRacing news. iRacing announced this past week that they are doing a IndyCar Pro Series. So, for those of you who know about the NASCAR Pro Series stuff, and obviously the top tier of that is the NASCAR Coca-Cola Esports um, series. So, um, yeah, it was announced Thursday, May 23rd. iRacing and Butt Kicker announced the creation of the inaugural IndyCar Pro Series to debut in September, with total prize pool of $50,000 to the top open wheel sim racers in the world will compete starting September 19th in a series that will feature many of IndyCar Series' most exciting venues. Each race will be broadcast live at 8 p.m. Eastern Thursday via iRacing social channels and the NTT IndyCar Series YouTube channel. And that is the official website that IndyCar uses for posting highlights and all that stuff. So it will be on the same place where you can get your race highlights and race replays on YouTube. For those of you that follow them on YouTube. Um, so yeah, it's quote goes on. It says IndyCar Butt Kicker iRacing Pro Series is the latest exciting development in iRacing's renewed relationship with IndyCar. Says iRacing president Tony Gardner. For years, iRacers have clamored for a top IndyCar esports series. And with the support of Butt Kicker, we are putting together an awesome inaugural championship for 2024. We expect fierce competition as top sim racers go for 50,000 in one of our most exciting series as yet. The creation of the first IndyCar based esports series for professional sim racers on iRacing comes after a new license agreement signed between the two companies earlier this year. The new series joins the iRacing Indy 500 and one of iRacing's most popular of special events. As one of the most prominent partnerships between the two brands, it also becomes the latest professional iRacing esports series to be managed in conjunction with one of the world's premier racing series in joint effort with NASCAR, Porsche, and of course the World of Outlaws. Um, IndyCar is pleased to join forces with iRacing and Butt Kicker for an all-new pro esports series later this year. IndyCar senior management marketing Ben Hendricks, sorry, said kicking off just after the 2024 IndyCar champion is crowned on the track in Nashville. This new series will bring excitement of IndyCar into the virtual world and give fans a new set of racing heroes to cheer for this fall. Qualifying for the IndyCar series will commence July through August. More information on the qualifying series and both series schedules will be released in the upcoming months. For more information, obviously go to iRacing.com. Continues on to say that we are thrilled to partner with IndyCar and iRacing to launch this Butt Kicker iRacing Pro Series. This is Andrew Luden, head of gaming. The was it the Gitamer company? I think that's how you say it. I'm probably screwing that all up. IndyCar is the pinnacle of open wheel racing, with drivers competing across high speed ovals and technical street courses while driving to the limits of performance. Butt Kicker products provide sim racers a true haptic feedback to push the limits. Powered by iRacing's world-class simulation platform, by partners with IndyCar, iRacing, and skills, grit, and excitement of sim racing in the highest levels. The highest level will reach more fans than ever. Highlights will highlight ever and highlight how everyone from pros to new sim racers can drive better with Butt Kicker. So, yeah, new pro series coming to iRacing coming this fall. I don't know. It's always good to see them continuing to develop new pro series for the sport or for the sim racing genre. Yeah, I'll be interested to see what the qualification stuff looks like, and if we're able to partake in it, might give it a try.
Yeah.
So, anybody got any other thoughts or opinions about it?
No, I think
No.
it's great. It's another feather in the iRacing cap that gets exposure and showcases what they can do, and it's a nice segue to our next topic.
Yep. Yeah, it's continuing with more IndyCar sim racing news stuff. IndyCar has announced that it has secured all the assets from their settlement with Motorsports Games. So we've talked about it in previous podcasts throughout the last year or so. This article is from overtake.gg. It says, in a rough end of 23 for Motorsports Games, the company that first saw its BTCC license terminated, and although both sides have reconciled since then was served with the notice about IndyCar's intent to do the same thing. Motorsports Games was supposed to create a standalone game for both series, but failed to fulfill the agreement. Shortly after this, iRacing obviously renewed their license with IndyCar and brought back the Indy 500, which takes place this coming week.
Mm-hmm.
So, says fans can now get their hopes up again. A new SEC filing states that Motorsports Games and IndyCar have reached their settlement, that Motorsports Games will have to pay $400,000 instead of the approximated $2.9 million that the company owed Indianapolis-based racing series. This is to be split into $250,000 payments to be made by MSG immediately, and another $150,000 payment to be made either by MSG within 30 days of the agreement or by iRacing until December 31st. An option to create the game or the result of other paragraphs regarding the IndyCar license. Time will tell with options going on ahead. So with that, IndyCar can now choose to resume development on a game with any developer they so choose. at this point. So it says more interestingly to sim racers. However, the settlement also includes transfers of the rights to all licensed intellectual properties to the IndyCar development project for PC, PlayStation, Xbox formats, including software, source codes, tools, applications necessary for a professional development team to resume development productions. Furthermore, Motorsports Games is obligated to work as a smooth handover. According to the settlement, the company is to provide up to 50 hours of consulting to facilitate the transition of the IndyCar Series game developer to software developers of IndyCar's choice. Who this software developer could be remains unanswered as of right now, but with iRacing and being listed as an option to pay $150,000 as part of the settlement, it could point towards the U.S.-based racing sim developers. Supposedly, the game initially supposed to be developed by Motorsports Games Australia was relatively far along in the development cycle, which I think now is it hinted that they might be partnering with the same company that does Assetto Corsa.
I haven't heard anything.
Yeah, I have not heard that.
Okay, I was trying to think if
Are we supposed to wear a tinfoil hat or something right now?
yeah.
So, are you referring to 505 Games or
Yeah,
Kunos or?
yeah, the company that does Assetto Corsa.
Oh.
I
That's
thought I saw some.
Kunos, but
Yeah, I thought I saw something. I'm not 100% confirmed on that one.
That'd be really interesting.
So, yeah, I can't find anything concrete on that. So, but I thought that was one of the leading rumors is that Kunos was possibly going to be one of the front runners for that, but without confirmation of that, won't say anything else on that because I don't know. So, but I don't know. I think it's cool that IndyCar got all their assets back from Motorsports Games, and they're free to do with whatever they choose to it, and hopefully, yeah, we do get a standalone. I mean, if they choose to do a standalone IndyCar game, hopefully we do get one.
Right.
But hopefully they don't. Hopefully they've learned their lesson not to go exclusive. So
yeah, that's the big thing.
So, but yeah. And guys, got any other comments about the article?
I do not.
Nope.
Okay. Some more sim racing news. The BMW Hybrid is coming to Le Mans Ultimate for free, as part of their continuous moving forward of a full release. Right now, it's still technically an early access game, so which I don't think the update's out yet for it.
I don't think it is.
Or at least the patch for it. I can check real quick. It does not appear to be in there yet. So I'm sure the next
The BMW Hybrid's coming on June 20th.
Oh, June 20th. Okay. So for those of you still for those of you playing the early access Le Mans Ultimate, the BMW is on its way. So be interesting to see how it also compares with the iRacing version as well. So All right. Moving on to our next sim racing topic. This also goes kind of in line with the iRacing's announcement of the IndyCar Pro Series.
Mhm.
This
Oh,
article
sorry,
comes.
it's June. Sorry, it's June 10th, not June 20th for the BMW.
Okay. So this again, this kind of goes along with iRacing announcing the IndyCar stuff. They are also officially launching the FIA F4 Esports Championship. And that one is a $25,000 prize pool. So this article by Boxus Lap, it says iRacing and the FIA are pleased to announce the creation of the FIA F4 Esports Global Championship, which will begin its inaugural season in September as well. The 4-event, 8-round series will see drivers from around the world competing in total prize pool of the aforementioned $25,000. The races will be broadcast live across iRacing social media channels. Quote states, we couldn't be more excited to work with the FIA to launch the FIA F4 Esports Global Championships, said iRacing President Tony Gardner. Both iRacing and the FIA are committed to helping aspiring drivers to enter the real world of motorsports through accessible opportunities, and the Formula 4 platform is an excellent means to do so. We look forward to an exciting season this fall and are confident that the leaders of the series will be competing again in the upper levels of motorsports in the coming years. So the FIA single seater director Nicholas Bazis. I am butchering that
Close
name
enough.
wrong,
Yeah, close
and
enough.
I apologize.
Yeah.
It says I'm delighted that the FIA is teaming up with iRacing once again for the next phase of its highly innovative collaboration, bringing the FIA F4 esports to a global stage following great success of the regional events or regional levels. This latest step in our strong partnership aligns with our strategy to foster the growth and development of esports. In doing so, broaden the appeal of our sport to a new audience with the aim of doubling global participation in motorsports. Since the relationship between iRacing and the FIA began in mid 2023, tens of thousands of drivers have taken to the virtual F4 track, honing their skills while beginning their journey into real world racing series like FIA F4 regional tours, which focus on track specific regional events, providing drivers with simulation experience that mirrors the start of drivers' journey in the real world. Additionally, iRacing has worked with dozens of FIA national sporting authorities to provide account support for newcomers to sim racing worldwide and to help create numerous national championship series. So, drivers can qualify for the FIA Esports Championship by participating in iRacing's FIA F4 Regional Tours Series races during Season 3 of 2024, which begins mid-June. The top 10 eligible drivers in the championship standings of each of the Regional Tour Series will be invited to compete in the Global Championship. To be eligible for an invitation for the Global Championship, drivers must reside within respective regions for which they are qualifying to ensure a truly global championship. Double round events are scheduled for September 14th, 28th, October 12th, and November 2nd, with the first race session starting at 18:30 GMT. Track selections for each event will be announced 24 hours before the race, forcing drivers to quickly adapt to circuits. Drivers will also compete with fixed setups to ensure a level playing field, and weather will be set to random. So
Interesting.
yeah, again, iRacing continuing with their pro or road to pro esports series for those who are interested in doing the F4 races. So
Mhm.
Yeah, hopefully it goes better than their GR86 qualifying time trial went.
Oh yeah, I know you.
I mean, wasn't that done more by Toyota than?
I don't care. Still hosted on iRacing. It was still an issue with the iRacing game.
Old man Neil. Yeah,
Well, they're not. They're doing races, not time trial events. So,
That's why I said hopefully it goes better.
right. All right. Transitioning. Let's see. Moving on to our last topic for sim racing. This article is also by overtake.gg. So for those of you who have played the EA WRC game, it's had its ups and downs with certain things. They've kind of been steadily working along, fixing it. This next fix is coming with their anti-cheat software. So obviously,
people are getting up in arms about it because it's supposed to be a kernel layer anti-cheat, which a lot of games are doing nowadays.
Yeah.
And people are concerned with some of the kernel vulnerabilities that have happened on like Apex and other things like that. So,
right.
But I mean, the fact that it's 2024 or 2023, I guess, when the game came out, and it didn't have any sort of anti-cheat whatsoever is kind of crazy to me.
Right, yeah. You'd think that would just be an integral part of any online game that you have nowadays.
Mhm.
Is it's like, oh, we're making a multiplayer online game. Okay, let's put the anti-cheat in there.
Yeah, if it's gonna have a online component, then you need to have it.
Right. So, but yeah, obviously EA addresses these concerns in its explanation that states that player privacy is a top concern of ours. Game security and anti-cheat team. The software is developed in-house, but also with the input of independent third-party security privacy addressers to validate EA's anti-cheat does not degrade the security posture of your PC and to ensure strict data privacy boundaries. Of course, this will not erase doubts in the minds of each and every player, and there are no way around EA anti-cheat if they want to keep playing EA's WRC game. It is possible to remove the software manually, but if you uninstall EA anti-cheat, any game that requires EA anti-cheat protection will not be playable until EA anti-cheat is reinstalled. So, they don't exactly have the launch date for when the update for the anti-cheat is going to be up, but that says that they are working on it as quickly as they possibly can. For Rally fans running Linux, the implementation of anti-cheat could also mean that they will not be able to play EA Sports WRC at all anymore, which has happened with the likes of Battlefield 5 or the aforementioned EA Sports FC24. And additionally, the Steam Deck version will also be affected as Valve's powerful handheld console runs on Linux-based OS. However, it has said that EA Sports WRC is not officially supported for Linux. So, yeah, it says also other updates of the V1.9 update have not been announced yet. A release date is not known, but the update could land relatively soon, considering the month and a half gap between the releases of 1.6 to 1.8. So yeah, for those of you playing EA Sports or playing the WRC game online, or that use Linux software, if you don't want the anti-cheats, well, then I guess you won't be playing it. So, Although it's interesting that about the Steam Deck stuff, since it does run off of a Linux-based operating system. I wonder how many other games off of the Steam Deck don't have an anti-cheat program with it.
Yeah, and I'm wondering how different trying to put a cheating program together on Linux is versus on Windows.
Mm-hmm.
Does he was more of a pain or not?
Yeah. So I don't know. I guess just have to see how that works itself out. So alrighty. That's all I've got for sim racing news. I don't think there's anything else that we need to cover on sim racing side. Obviously, next week we'll probably have a plethora of sim racing news to cover because probably one of the biggest updates since either the rain expectation or the GTP cars coming to the service of iRacing is dropping next week with the Mustang and the Corvette coming, plus other updates to the service. So
New street stock bodies.
Yeah, new tracks. So yeah, we'll have tons of sim racing news to talk about next week.
So want to see foam barriers fly in the air.
So, all right, we will transition on to actual motorsport news because we have a lot to cover here, both on and off the track. With some opinions that might be triggered. So anyway, we'll start first. Obviously, this past weekend was dubbed IE the greatest racing weekend in motorsports. So
not this year.
I mean, I got 1 out of 3. But so anyway, we'll start off with the Monaco GP. Obviously, highlights for that. Charles Leclerc qualified on the pole for the race, which when you're racing in Monaco is always a good place to be. Although,
unless you're Charles Leclerc.
Yeah, or for Ferrari at all. Because, Ferrari gonna Ferrari.
Ferrari strategy's always good.
Leclerc's curse was definitely being talked about.
Yeah, heavily. But it's start of the race started out crazy. Perez ended up getting tagged by Kevin Magnussen, which ended up
he got K-magged.
Yeah, he got K-magged and then collected Nico Hulkenberg as well. So
I do not understand how he did not get a penalty for that.
Listen. Sometimes there's, you look at a move and you go, okay, or maybe that wasn't a good. This was absolutely a boneheaded move. I don't even know. Yeah, how he did not get called to the stewarding office and get a sit down and a talking to, is beyond me. Like, I feel like if in any other series, if you would have caused a wreck like that, you would have had to been like NASCAR. They would have probably called you to the hauler. So,
yeah, I mean, I guess the only thing that I can think is that they felt Perez contributed to it because he was looking to the right and kept moving right, but he had Hulkenberg on his left and coming up the left side. So, I mean, to me, it's a simple case of Magnussen drove into a gap that was closing and just kept in it. And I mean, he got a penalty for basically doing the same thing to Sargent at Miami. So I don't know why it's not a penalty at Monaco. It's just,
Yeah,
I'm
Go ahead.
convinced that they just don't want to give people a 1 race suspension when they're that close. Because if he had gotten penalized, he would have gotten another 2 penalty points, which means he would have been suspended for a race because he's at 10. But I don't know. And then they were saying something on the broadcast that they're more lenient on lap 1 crashes, which I don't agree with. They should be more strict on lap 1 crashes. But
yeah.
I don't know. I don't. We'll talk about it, but I don't understand how Ocon gets a penalty, but Magnussen doesn't. That's stupid.
Yeah, and like I said, yeah, why the FIA is so reluctant to hand out these race suspensions, like if you are technically billed as the pinnacle of motorsport for international racing, you have to hold your drivers to a higher standard. And if that means that you're driving like an idiot and you need to sit out for a race, guess what? I mean, that's what happens. I mean, I know, like, yeah, how Kevin Magnussen didn't get.
Yeah, like you said, the pinnacle of motorsports, but their stewards have always been supremely less than pinnacle.
Yeah. So, just completely crazy. Anyway, so while that happened, Sainz ended up cutting a tire and going off at is that Casino or no?
It was
I think-
when they were making the right. He went to the escape
Yeah.
road before they turned down to the hairpin, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Because the hairpin, what used to be called Lowe's hairpin, but that's
Yeah.
been years since it's been called that. But so anyway, yeah, he cut the tire, which I mean, you want to talk about a huge break for that. They threw the red flag, and he was able to essentially keep his third place position on the restart. So
yeah, because they allow for tire changes under red flag conditions.
Well, it's not just that, but they essentially reverted back to the second sector, which apparently he was in third with that at the beginning of the second sector. So he was able to essentially keep his third place position. So Sainz got a big break with that. And also, yeah. Also, while they were in the process of going under the yellow and bringing the red out, Ocon ended up hitting Gasly and jumping over the front of him, which apparently that set the team owner off because the team owner was apparently talking to one of the local French media outlets and was just absolutely irate that this contact happened between the two teammates. So
yeah, and I mean that's another thing too, because yeah, when they were going into Portier, which is the right hand turn before the tunnel, you can see Gasly move over to defend the position, but he still left the cars with the gap. But again, you're not making that corner at that angle. And Ocon was like, if car gap or if gap car, and decided, nope, we're going too wide here. Screw you. And yeah, decided that he wanted to turn his car into a helicopter after the corner. So
yeah. Again, it's just freaking. I just don't know what they were thinking. Like, there are many, many, many crashes that happen at that corner for the exact same thing. I mean, the fact that he didn't and stuck. Didn't that happen one year where one of the cars got stuck on the Armco over there?
So
I'm sure. I think it's happened. I'm trying to remember.
Probably. I mean, I feel like anything that could happen in Monaco has happened at one point in time.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it angered the Alpine team boss so much that according to Ted Kravitz, who's the pit lane reporter for Sky's F1 broadcast, he spotted Bruno Feynman, who's Alpine's team boss, calling Jack Doonan over for a chat in Monaco right after talking to the French press, saying that there was going to be consequences for Ocon's maneuver. So the prevailing thought is that potentially Ocon gets benched for the Canadian Grand Prix with Jack Doonan taking his spot.
Right. So yeah, that was crazy. And then, so yeah, like I said, they brought out the red flag. They had to repair the Armco, which, man, you watching the replays on that wreck, and you just see all the carbon fiber shards flying into all the freaking photographers and camera crew people that are like essentially pushed right up against the freaking road right there. It's wild to watch.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that we didn't get any reports of any injuries or anything sustained by camera or photographer crews is a surprise.
Yeah, they had to red flag it to do some Armco repair there.
Yep.
Well, for the Perez and K-Mac incident, I should say.
Yeah. So anyway, that warranted a full restart. Obviously with minus the 4 cars that were out of the race because of the 3 from the initial crash, and then then Ocon being out for jumping over his teammate. Obviously the restart was clean. And then it kind of fell just kind of in your typical Monaco, dry Monaco race where everybody was, couldn't really get past anybody.
Yeah, there was like only 1 pass the entire race inside the top 10.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Unfortunately, Stroll ended up getting a flat tire after he went in and came and got and pitted. So then he had to go back into the pits. But Charles Leclerc ended up coming away with a win. So the Monaco curse is now lifted. So he was obviously super excited over the radio, very emotional.
They were basically saying that nobody was going to sleep that night.
Yeah. What is that? It was. I was watching during the Coca-Cola 600 during their red flag, which we'll get into that later here in the race highlights. But is it Charles put out a tweet? He said it was like 4:45 in the morning, and he said finally going to bed. Something like that, or shutting the bar down or something like that. Right. So but yeah, obviously nobody from the team was leaving that night. So congratulations to Charles Leclerc, finally lifting that Monaco curse. Finally Ferrari didn't do something to screw up the strategy.
They always
although it was funny because I kind of called it earlier or the day before. I was like, oh, watch, they're gonna have them put hards on and run the entire race on hards. And then what do? They put they put hards on and they run the entire race on hards. I was like, oh no. Yeah.
Talking through all the ways that Ferrari could screw this up.
Yeah, pretty much. So, but luckily they didn't. So,
although I will say it was sort of frustrating because they were running 4 to 5 seconds off pace trying to save the tires. There was near the end of the race when the cluster that had Russell, Verstappen, and Hamilton in it, they were like 31 seconds down when they made their pit stops, and by the end of the race they were only like 8 seconds back or something like that.
Yeah,
like, they were hauling ass over the final like 20 laps or so, but that's because the lead pack were just running to a certain delta each lap to save the tires, and I think Verstappen was like, "Man, I should have put my pillow in the car because this is boring as hell."
Yeah.
And I mean, you had all the comments after the race. They were saying, "Oh, Monaco's a dredge fest. Just get rid of it." Yada yada yada. And I'm like, it's not the track. It's the fact that the cars are gigantic
So
now.
fat, yeah.
Like there was a picture that I saw today from the Formula E race, and they're going 3 wide into the Lowe's hairpin. You know, but those cars are half the size of an F1 car. So with the way the drivers are, I guarantee if you make that car half the size it is, they're going to get
It'll be a
aggressive
lot
with
more
moves.
racing, right?
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, who's to say that if those cars are half the size, maybe Magnussen squeaks past Perez.
Right. So
Who
just
knows?
clobbering 'em.
Yeah, and I mean there was a coming together between Ocon and Gasly even before the corner that they did collide, going up that same straightaway where K-Mag and Perez came together. Ocon was doing the same thing and Gasly squeezed him, you know. But again, it's like you're not going to go around the outside trying to, you know, before you get to Casino and all that. So yeah, it's just I think the what we saw was just a byproduct of just how terrible the car is personally.
Right. So, yeah. I don't know. I don't really have anything else to comment about the Monaco race. So we can move on to Indy 500 highlights then. Yeah, obviously Indy 500. It was delayed like 4 hours for roughly 4 hours for rain. But they eventually did get the track dry and got the race going, which, again, right out of the gate, Tom Blomqvist ended up making a mistake by touching the rumble strip, which he spun, and he collected Ericsson and Fittipaldi. Fittipaldi almost got out of it, but he made contact with Callum Ilott and ended up getting crashed. So yeah, another another race, another crazy start. Just kind of inexperience on Blomqvist's side. You just can't touch those rumble strips at Indy, otherwise they send you spinning. So so yeah, unfortunate for all involved there. And then let's see, Armstrong ended up blowing up his motor, which unfortunately that kind of set the pace for all the Honda cars at that point. They end up more of them will end up having issues later in the race. Kyle Larson, who started 5th on the restart, he ended up starting off in first gear and was spun the tires, so that ended up causing a giant stack up for the field behind him, and he ended up getting leapfrogged by a bunch of cars. Just kind of a product of not being able to practice restarts in the car. So yeah, it's crazy to see that happen for him. And then let's see here. Moving on, Catherine Legg. Unfortunate for her, man. Just yeah, she ended up losing a motor. I feel bad for Catherine. She just another year and another disappointing Indy 500 finish with a blown motor. Let's see here. Moving on. Lundqvist ended up crashing after trying to make it, or after it got they tried to go 4 wide into turn 1. Again, just I think a kind of a product of hyper aggressive driving the whole race from everybody. It just seemed like with the rain and the waiting around just made everybody want to go for the win seemingly right off the start.
I guess it was fun. Of course, that rain might have been halfway through or something like that too.
Well, yeah, like I said, I don't know. It was just kind of it was crazy to watch. Just everybody being super aggressive on restarts, making moves. I mean, I know the track kind of being green and not having a lot of rubber buildup offline kind of invited these aggressive passes on the outside and stuff.
It made for a good race.
Yeah, it did. It was, like I said, this whole race was pretty exciting. Felix Rosenquist, again, another Honda motor, ended up going kaboom.
Yeah.
Just continuation of Honda having issues for the race. So that was crazy.
That's bad.
Yeah. Let's see here. After that, Colton Herta ended up having a spin. He ended up hitting the wall with the front end of the car. Didn't really do a whole lot of damage to it. But unfortunately, he got out of the car and they put the car up on the wrecker. And then once they got it back to the pits or back to the garage, they did an assessment on it, and it car didn't seem to be as damaged initially as he thought it was. So he ended up the team told him he had to get back on the track, and Townsend made the comment. He was like, man, it's bad when you wreck your car and then you just got to get back in after being so many laps down and just continue to log laps. So yeah, that was unfortunate for him, but it's kind of a product of racing. Unfortunately, you've got to.
Yeah.
I mean, while it is the Indy 500, it's another race in your championship, so you've got to try to get as many points as you possibly can. So
Can't blame him.
But
yeah, like Townsend said, I bet he was going to look back at that replay and regret getting out of the car.
So yeah. Let's see here. Then Ryan Hunter-Reay and Scott Dixon ended up making contact with each other.
Another one that I don't understand how a penalty wasn't called, but
yeah, he drove him down to the grass.
Oh, it was 100% a block, and it was a move in response to the car making a move behind.
Yeah,
no question about it.
Yeah. So yeah, he ended up spinning, caused some front wing damage to the car. Again, the caution was out. And then on the restart, Andretti ended up losing control and crashing. So unfortunate for Marco. The Andretti curse continues to roll along.
Right, poor guy. He can't even catch a break.
So
I don't want them to catch a break. in Indy, anyway. Look, the only break I want them to catch is being allowed to be on the grid in F1. Other than that, no.
So.
And I got validation talking to people during the SRO weekend, so people that live in Indianapolis,
right? And then kind of set up for another pit stops just before they had another set of pit stops to make after the Zenitra pit stops, which they were doing their final set of green flag pit stops, and unfortunately, Kyle Larson got busted for speeding coming into pit road. Just a little overzealous coming in.
Yep, it's always one of the hardest things to do as a rookie in the race. It's, you can practice it, but it's different when you're in the race and adrenaline's at its highest. And yeah, it's you feel for him though. But every time you see somebody come over, that's a one-off. I think Kurt Busch did it in his attempt back in 2014. It's just that's the true measure right there. If you can do a green flag pit stop without getting caught for speeding, you're going to be all right.
Right. So, and then unfortunate mistake by Will Power. He just ended up getting a little too high on going into the corner there, and ended up crashing out. So yeah, just unfortunate for Will. And then that kind of set up situation where nobody really needed to save fuel anymore. So everybody was kind of able to run full tilt to the end. And yeah, Pato Award was leading coming to the white flag. They had he kind of made a move to kind of block the run from Newgarden, but wasn't. I mean, he kind of seemed to more hurt his momentum than anything. And Newgarden, man, he just took it to the outside, and he wasn't stopping until he saw Checkered or Jesus. So
yeah, I mean, Newgarden's move in 3 was literally inch perfect. I was so hoping that they would have collected and Rossi would have inherited the win.
I know.
But yeah, just gutting for Pato. I mean, he may have gone a little bit early with his move, but and he could have been a little bit more aggressive on the defense down the backstretch. But whether holding it tight off of 2 killed the momentum or not, we'll never know. I mean, he was fighting a Penske engine that all month has just been a rocket ship. So I think that was just an inevitability. And I mean, credit to him, it took literally the perfect move from Newgarden to get it done. 1 inch either way, Newgarden's washing up and maybe in the wall.
Right. Yeah. So I was just
a disco over there or something.
Yeah. What are you causing? You're gonna cause people to have seizures. Stop it. So
we're gonna have to put another disclaimer on this thing before it goes live.
So yeah, just again, crazy move. And then again, it seems to be Joseph's staple is running into the crowd. That man freaking Olympic freaking hurdled that fence. There wasn't nobody stopping him. So that was funny.
It's sad though that I was looking at that going, this is security's worst freaking nightmare right here though.
Yeah.
You got 300,000 rabid fans. All it takes is that one nefarious guy to ruin the entire thing, and you're just praying nothing like that happens. But I mean, honestly, the same could be said of Helio climbing the fence if he misses one step and falls or whatever. Yeah. So,
well, one of the camera guys ended up taking a dive, and Newgarden ended up helping him up off the ground.
Yeah.
So
but, I mean, just the videos that came out afterwards of people that were in that section and they were recording it, and just the noise of the crowd was insane. It was just, it was really awesome to see. It was easily top 5 Indy 500 races.
Yeah.
It was just, it was really great to see that last run to the flag because nobody had to feel safe. Because that was, again, like F1, they were running way off the pace, doing their fuel saving and all this sort of stuff. But then once that caution came out from Will Power's accident, and everybody went in and made their final stops to the end, and everybody was in the green, it was, yep, we're right back to it. And
Yeah.
Rossi led the charge. Him and O'Ward were, hooking up. They were just, leapfrogging it every lap, trying to break away, and Newgarden was just hanging about, waiting.
Mhm.
I think Dixon was also kind of holding on too for a little bit too, right?
Yeah, honestly, they were talking about if that caution didn't come out from Willpower, that again, I don't know how Dixon saves as much fuel as that man does
He's ridiculous.
running. Yeah, he ran, like, they were saying that he was running like 8 laps further into stints than people were doing,
Mhm.
and it was just, again, I don't know how.
Yeah,
How
they
he
must have
saves fuel.
pit during one of the earlier cautions and intentionally went off sequence or something. Because
Well, he did. He was on that same sequence with Daly, and I think Ferrucci was on that strategy too. There was, or no, Stingray Rob.
yeah,
There
Stingray
there
Rob was
yeah, there was like
Rasmussen on it too.
yeah, yep. Yeah, there's like 4 cars that were on this alternate strategy. And I mean, honestly, if we didn't get that yellow, Tim out to basically just to get the credit to say he led, a couple of laps at the 500. I think they did that with, that happened with Kurt Busch too, when he had his speeding penalty. They left him out um, on that alternate strategy just so he could get 2 or 3 laps led in the 500 to get credited with it.
Yeah.
So, but yeah,
But yeah, and I mean, he ended up on the lead lap even after the speeding penalty. So
yep, yeah, he finished 18th. So,
and got Rookie of the Year honors.
well, yeah, which honestly wasn't that hard because every rookie was crashing out.
Yeah, although people were saying that there was an argument for Rasmussen. So, but it's the entire month. And unfortunately, it's not just who's the highest finishing rookie.
Right?
It's the
Yeah, I
performance
mean,
of the entire month. So
yeah, I mean, again, testament to Kyle Larson. That man, you can put him in anything, and he'll figure out how to drive it. I mean, like I said, he made the usual rookie mistakes. He screwed up the restart. He sped coming into pits. He said he got a couple of steps behind on adjustments on the car and stuff, but towards the end of the race, he had them kind of figured out. But yeah, this, like you said, this Indy 500 is probably in the top 5 for
Easy.
best. I mean, best and most exciting Indy 500s through the whole. I mean, through the whole race, it didn't feel like, again, it takes them like 2.5, 3 hours to run the race. It just felt like it was cruising along because of all the excitement and action that was going on the entire time. I mean, there were so many moves that just made you go, "Oh, they're crashing now," and they didn't. Like,
yeah, after the first 50 laps went by and everybody got the anxiety kicked out of them, then it started settling in. So like we said earlier with the lap 1 crash, you just hate it for the people that sat around for 4 hours and they don't even make it out of turn 1. But that was one of the couple of iRacing moments that happened in the greatest day in racing. We'll talk about the other one later, but yeah, it was everybody easy into turn 1, and yeah,
nope.
yeah, but yeah, it's a hell of a redemption moment for Newgarden after the whole controversy in Long Beach about what happened at St. Pete, and it gives Penske his 20th win as a team. It's the first back-to-back winner since Helio did it in 01 and 02.
Yep.
He got something like $4.8 million because of all the bonuses for being a back-to-back winner.
Yeah.
In addition to those standard winner's purse. It was insane.
Yeah, and apparently there's another. Yeah, I've seen that stat too, and there's another like $4.5 million he could win next year if he goes three-peat.
Yeah.
So yeah, apparently there's a prize money for continuous wins, and then also for number of wins as well. So
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if he eventually gets to that fourth, that coveted four win mark, or like I said, the only other one that's available for a massive prize bonus is Elio, because he technically has a chance to win 5.
Yeah, he'd be the
So
first 5-time winner. Yeah.
yeah, so apparently
I
there's
gotta
some.
say though, if McLaren keeps being Arrow McLaren keeps putting out a competitive package, and you bring Kyle Larson back for the second year, like supposedly the deal is, with a year of experience under his belt, he's going to be a weapon next year if that car is competitive.
I mean, yeah, next year I could honestly see with if with Rossi, Award, and Larson,
Hmm.
I don't see why we don't have McLaren top 3 for qualifying next year if they keep up their pace.
And it's going to be interesting too because it'll be the first year with the hybrids. So be curious how the dynamic of the race changes. Maybe they don't have to fuel save as much. Maybe we see a 500-mile sprint.
Yeah.
That would be
Yeah,
wild.
yeah, just foot down, no fuel save.
Yep. Just attack for 200 laps.
Oh my goodness, man, that'd be. I don't know how that. I don't even know what that would look like if everybody just had to run flat out for 500 miles. No.
Honda engine's already crying.
Oh, yeah, that was a huge surprise. All the Honda engine failures, man.
Well, it was crazy because the story all week, or I guess yeah, it was the previous week, was the Chevy engines having the intake plenum fires.
Yep.
And I guess Honda, I don't know if Honda sort of orchestrated it or if it was just those teams that had issues that did it, but there were several teams that opted to do engine changes Friday night. And so those were new motors that went kablamo.
Yeah.
So don't know how much of a part that played in it, or if it's just truly bad luck, or if it was all from the same batch that got manufactured and something went wrong during the production of those specific engines. But I'm sure HRC is going to go back, tear them down, and figure out what happened.
Yeah, it was like you said. Yeah, it was, and literally, GM Chevy didn't have a real solution to stop the plenum fires either. The only thing they were telling teams is to leave it in a gear and don't shift up.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, whatever they found or something in a gear ratio or something, they got it fixed and figured out, and they were able to not only be fast but also not have the same issues that Honda had with blowing up. So
yeah, it is interesting to know what is it Ron Paulson? Is that the guy's name? The AJ Foyt's technical guy that Penske was liaison with. It would be interesting to know what he discovered, because the only Chevys that didn't seem to have the intake plenum fires during qualifying was the Foyt cars and the Penske cars, and McLaren. But yeah, it was very apparent the benefit from this technical alliance that Penske and Foyt had, which like they touched on during the broadcast, was something that 20 years ago would never have happened. But I don't know. It's kind of jumping ahead, but I saw a comment today after the Stewart Haas news that basically said something along the lines of, it'd be nice to see Tony Stewart take the windfall that he's going to get and go invest in AJ Foyt Racing and partner with him in IndyCar and go win the Indy 500, because he loves AJ Foyt. I'm sure he would get along great with Ferrucci as a driver. And you give a significant financial investment into that team. I'd be curious to see what would happen with it.
Right. Yeah, and that's another thing. I don't think kind of annoyed me with the Penske drivers is I feel like they weren't giving enough credit to the pace that they found from the technical alliance with AJ Foyt. Like I I feel wholeheartedly
Yeah.
that speed from those motors came out of AJ Foyt Racing.
Yeah, they gave him no thanks at all.
Yeah. So that's the only thing that kind of annoyed me is that it wasn't said enough from the Penske drivers that hey, we really this alliance with AJ really helped us out. Like, and it's not only just because of the technical alliance, but just I mean the fact that at this point with AJ being up there in age, like
Mhm.
the man gets all the credit that he deserves. So
Yeah, I'm now at the point where I'm just praying that come next year AJ is still around for it.
yeah,
Same.
like I said, that'd be really cool if we got, I mean, just 1 year of a Tony Stewart AJ Foyt alliance.
That'd be mint.
So,
Mm-hmm.
and God forbid anybody that crosses those guys at Indy, because good Lord, you're gonna be fighting 2 honey badgers.
Yeah, because I mean Penske finished first and sixth, and Will Power was inside the top 10 before his crash. So
Yeah.
Ferrucci finished eighth for
Yeah.
AJ Foyt.
So, but so yeah, again, and of course, once the race was over, Larson hopped on the helicopter and hopped on the plane and flew to Charlotte for the Coke 600.
Before we move on to the Coke 600, can we give a tip of our cap to Connor Daly finishing 10th?
Yeah.
In that,
one of my drivers did good.
Basically an also ran car from driver Reinbold.
Yeah. Yeah. Good job for Connor. Like I said, he was up. He was leading the race. He was in the top 3 there for a while. Top 2 on that alternate fuel strategy. I mean, if what if that caution didn't come out? I mean, where would he be? I mean, he possibly would have been looking at a top 3, maybe top 5, possibly even looking for the win. So, but yeah. So moving on to the Coke 600, which got underway during the closing laps of the Indy 500. Let's see here. Some highlights. Kyle Busch ended up losing a tire under green flag pit stops. Kind of a rare mistake from BJ McLeod. Usually he doesn't make a whole lot of mistakes running some of the back marker cars. He ended up spinning and bringing out the caution. Let's see. Byron ended up getting stage 1 win. Let's see here. Blaney ended up hitting the wall and ended up damaging the wheel to the point where they couldn't get the wheel off after he damaged it.
Pulled a Bottas.
Yeah. I mean, they were out there with pry bars and everything else trying to get that front tire off. Eventually they threw a caution to get him off pit road, which I still don't really agree with that. I feel like they could have just pushed him off the track. So
couldn't they have just closed the pits and gotten him out of there and then reopened the pits?
Yeah, I don't know. That was kind of weird. I felt like NASCAR kind of wanted that caution. So
yeah, it wouldn't be the first time.
Then let's see here. Unfortunate for Noah Gragson, he ended up hitting the wall and bringing out the caution as well. And then after that, LaJoy ended up spinning, and he ended up spinning, and that brought out the yellow. Then they ended up going back racing for a little bit, and then the caution came out for rain. Just as Kyle was getting right to the racetrack, like his helicopter literally landed, and they threw the yellow for rain, and then eventually brought out the red flag. And then Christopher Bell ended up getting the win after they sat around for about an hour and a half trying to dry the track. Eventually they deemed it wasn't able to get dried fast enough, which
I guess the track is still wet according to Bianchi, though.
Yeah, I don't know. Some of the pictures that they were showing on Twitter looked like the track was fairly dry. Charlotte Motor Speedway was reporting the track was about 60% dry up in like 20 minutes before they ended up calling the race.
I think it had to do with Fox, if I had to guess.
There was something that was interesting to read. Apparently, Fox on the broadcast announced that the race had been called before NASCAR had actually told Christopher Bell that he was the winner.
Yeah, because Christopher Bell said that he was literally just sitting in his hauler, and he said that he heard it on the TV from Fox that the race had been called, and then his phone started ringing from NASCAR to tell him to head down to Victory Lane. So
what a joke.
Yeah,
it really does not make sense. I mean, you've got a national holiday on Monday. You've got no ordinances around. You've got a track that's got lights. You've got equipment to dry the track. You had no more rain, and basically the official comment from NASCAR was, oh, it's too damn humid, so the track's not drying as quickly as we thought, and we don't want to have the race resume after 2 a.m.
Yeah.
That was it. It's like, really? So you, A, don't want to do your job, and B, don't want to resume your crown jewel of the season?
Right, yeah. And then, like I said, and you didn't even allow Larson to get in the car.
Yeah.
So, so he got no points, which, I mean, congrats to Allgaier for bringing that car home in 13th place. I mean, he was, for somebody who doesn't run the next gen car a whole lot, he was, keeping the car clean and didn't cause any mistakes or any problems. And I mean, like I said, he did a good job filling in for Larson.
Just in time not to do anything.
And then I don't know. Do we bring up the fact that NASCAR is hemming and hawing about not granting this waiver?
Yeah,
I think they're just playing out the drama of it. I genuinely, they were marketing Larson doing the double. I don't see how you don't give the waiver.
I was gonna say there's
if you can give a waiver to drivers that get suspended for being total dumbasses on the track, Chase Elliott, you can give a waiver to Kyle Larson for being promotional of the sport.
Yeah, no kidding. Like, I'm sorry, but like, while yes, the Coke 600 is prestigious, the Indy 500 is even more prestigious. Like I said, if you're gonna ask me to rank in order of which 3 races out of the day have prestige in the actual length of motorsports, I'm gonna tell you it's gonna be the Indy 500, then probably the Coke 600, and I mean, with the way that Formula One is right now, it's gonna be Monaco. Like that is the order.
I mean, I saw somebody put it. It basically said, the Coke 600 is the crown jewel for NASCAR schedule, but the Indy 500 is the crown jewel for all of motorsports.
Yeah.
Or something to that effect. And I was like, yeah, that's 100% right. Like, what Larson did for the exposure of NASCAR was only going to benefit the sport. But I guarantee, with as smart of a businessman as Rick Hendrick is, he would not have made the call for everybody to stay in Indianapolis with the rain delay if he had not already talked with NASCAR about this possibility.
Right. Yeah. I did like what David Land posted about his video that he uploaded a while ago for this, because he also commented on the Stuart Haas racing stuff. He said, hey, if they don't allow Larson to run for the championship, have Rick Hendrick bring Larson over and have him run for the championship here in IndyCar, because with the 500 win, technically those points that those were double points. So he would technically, with them only running 3 races, he'd be like 5th in points or something like that for the double, or for just where he finished because of double points. So
I just want to check NASCAR.com for the hell of it. Right now,
Yeah.
we're thinking for shop is the Hendrick thing with Kyle Larson for IndyCar.
yeah, the 1100 thing, which
Yep.
yeah, I
Mhm.
know. So yeah, the fact that
Should be
it's
the
it's
875.
Tuesday night and we're still talking about Larson possibly not making it into the championship. I mean, he was the points leader up until not being able to run on Sunday.
Correct.
Like,
And he's still third, so it's like
Yeah.
he didn't even fall that far.
yeah, no kidding.
I mean,
sorry.
it's one of those things where you're just like, why do we even have the waiver system? You know, outside of extreme circumstances like the snowboarding injury that Elliott had, where he missed like 8 races.
Mhm.
But you know, outside of he needed a win still to even qualify for the playoffs anyway, and he didn't, and he missed it. So,
Yep.
what was the point of the waiver? You know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. So I don't know. Like I said, I'm probably with you. I feel like they're gonna grant it. They're just probably
Making
playing the
drama.
drama.
I mean,
So,
the amount of fan backlash they would get if they don't approve it
yeah.
from
No
both
kidding.
IndyCar. Well, I don't know if IndyCar fans would care, but certainly NASCAR fans that are savvy would be very upset by it.
Oh yeah, definitely. So, all right. That's all I have for on track news for this weekend. So, I don't know unless there's any other on track news that you want to talk about.
Well, it was the opening round for the Porsche Endurance Series, whatever the hell it's called.
Oh yeah, where'd Dempsey finish?
He finished. He finished on the podium. I'm trying to remember where
Oh,
exactly
okay.
though.
Well, I mean that's good for him. So
second. He finished second.
second. Oh, well, there we go.
Yep.
So,
And 9th overall.
oh, congratulations to Patrick Dempsey, and
But
he was racing with
Right Motorsports, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Patrick Dempsey and Patrick Long, wasn't it?
Yeah, Patrick Long was the pro in the car. But yeah, so Trenton Estup and Paul Boscuse for MDK Motorsports took the win in the 992 GT3 Cup class and overall. Ian Magnuson finished 6th in class and overall. Michael Clark and Luke Hartog won the Cayman class for Kelly Moss Racing. Alexander Premat, Formula DTM and Formula E racer, finished 3rd in the Cayman class for Kelly Moss. Yeah, these results, I'm just like looking through. It's a who's who. I mean, this might as well be an entry list to Le Mans with some of these names. It's crazy.
Right. So, all right. Let's see. Moving on to off-track news. It was announced a couple days ago that obviously the Supercars Series Championship is for 2025 is looking at staying domestic. But in starting in 26, they are looking to expand overseas racing. This article is from Supercars official website. It says Supercars released its 2023 calendar year financials on Monday, with Barclay Nettlefold. He's the chairman of the series. Said that continued growth in 24 and beyond, including possibility of expanding the sport to international races once again outside of Australia and New Zealand. Said currently there are 12 rounds in the 2024 Repco Supercars Championship calendar, with the series making its triumphant return to New Zealand this past April. Nettlefold confirmed that the number is set to increase in 25, telling media on Monday there is an absolute recognition that we will need to keep growing the sport with racing more, having more events. That means in a domestic environment, and also considers our international plans as well. The 25 calendar itself, there's a lot of work going on. There are a few iterations of the calendar floating around. The COO, Tim Weathersford, is leading that with the CEO, Shane Howard, but nothing has been presented to the board yet. In the wake of the return to New Zealand, overseas expansions have been tipped for 26. And then obviously, the first event held outside of Australia was New Zealand in 2001. But in the two decades since then, Supercars has raced in China, Bahrain, Abu Dhabi, and the United States. However, Nettlefold reiterated that the immediate focus is on the domestic events to beef up racing, but looking to expand further on in 2026. He said, while our domestic market is certainly where we are trying to beef up our cadence around racing and to be more relevant in the marketplace, 2026 we are looking at venues further beyond. So yeah, kind of interesting to see that Supercars is looking to go back international racing again, possibly starting in 2026. I think it would be pretty cool if we got a US round as an actual points paying championship round instead of just an exhibition race. I know they ran at Sonoma for a couple of years, and then they obviously ran at COTA as well a couple of times. So, I'd be down for that. We can get another supercar race at COTA or Sonoma, or Road America, Watkins Glen. Hell, there's lots of races here, or lots of tracks here in the United States where they could come and run. So yeah, I just thought that article was pretty interesting. So
yeah, definitely.
God, could you imagine that, a doubleheader weekend at COTA with NASCAR and supercars?
That'd be kind of crazy.
You get some of the Cup guys in the supercars and get a couple more of the supercars guys in Cup cars.
Yep.
So, let's see. Another little quick hit. It was announced this past weekend too that they are changing the layout of the Roval again. So,
Yeah.
I don't know. Personal opinion. I think the Roval probably needs to go away now, but it had its time. It's time to move back to what we were doing before.
Was that good? No.
The first couple of years they raced there, it was exciting and it was fun to watch and stuff like that, and added something different. But it's just That's kind of ran its course.
Definitely.
Either pun or no pun intended. I don't know, whichever you want to. So, let's see here. On to our next topic. Some interesting news for, again, back to rally fans. This article is by autosport.com. It says that Lancia is announces its return to rallying. So Lancia has announced its plans to make returns to rallying with confirmation that it will create a Rally 4 version of its Epsilon hatchback. The news ahead of this week's Rally Sardinia follows months of speculation linking the Italian manufacturer, the most successful in World Rally Racing Championship, having won 10 Constructors Championships from 74 to 76, 83, and 87 to 92 with a rallying comeback. Following the announcement that it's reviving its famous High Fidelity or HF brand, in March, Lancia previewed its high performance all electric Epsilon HF and announced a combustion Rally 4 program. The Rally 4 version will be powered by a 1.2 liter turbocharged 3-cylinder engine that will develop roughly 212 horsepower, as previously reported. A move into two-wheel drive production based Rally 4 class seemed the most probable route for Lancia's long-awaited competition return. The brand is owned by the Stellantis Group, which already has 2 representations in Rally 4 with the Peugeot 208 Rally 4 and the Opel Corsa Rally 4, both cars based on the same platform, and uses the most important common element, engine, gearbox, suspension concept that the Epsilon car will use. Lancia is best known, obviously, for producing the Delta and later the Delta Integrale that powered Julia
Bless you.
Kanikuden. Yeah, I'm gonna get these names all wrong. And Mickey Bison to 4 drivers' titles between 78 and 91, which also won constructors' titles in WRC's infamous Group B with the 037 in 1983 and the previously claimed 3 straight constructors' titles with the Stratos from 74 to 76. A statement from Lancia said, "From today, the hearts of many fans and rally enthusiasts will beat again. In fact, Lancia has decided to return to the world of rallying, starting from the basics of competition from Rally 4, the beating heart of rally, a category that represents pure passion with young drivers as protagonists who begin their careers with the passion to become professionals of tomorrow." A new beginning in the perfect Lancia style, characteristics by ambition, pragmatism, and humility in the line with the brand's mission and DNA. Lancia is still the most successful brand of all time in the world of rallying, with 15 World Rally Championships, 3 Constructor World Championships, and the 1000 Miglia, 2 Targa Florios, and the Carrera Panamera. Obviously, they again in the article state that it will have the 1.2 liter turbocharged 4-cylinder, equipped with the front-wheel drive 5-speed mechanical transmission, limited slip diff. High performance model is the ideal solution and enjoyment of rally enthusiasts, but also a serious candidate for drivers who aspire victory in the Rally 4 category. It is unclear when the first Rally 4 Epsilon will hit stages first. So yeah, Lancia is back in coming back into rally. So hopefully their cars don't catch fire.
That's an afterthought.
So, but yeah, like I said, I don't know. It's pretty cool to see Lancia getting back into it. I mean, eventually, hopefully, they make a car that they'll be able to compete and the top tier of WRC, but this is definitely a step in the right direction. So, any other thoughts or comments about Lancia getting back into rallying?
Yeah, it's kind of cool. Seeing something like an old manufacturer coming back.
Right.
I mean, yeah, whatever's gonna keep building onto the history of not history, but legacy, and keep WRC going is always going to be favorable in my mind.
Right. So, all right. Moving on to the final topic that we have, and probably the biggest news of this week, minus the on-track stuff. Stuart Haas Racing has announced today that they are officially ceasing operations after the 2024 season. So co-owners Gene Haas and Tony Stewart have appeared focused on other aspects of their business in recent years. Haas has a Formula One team that has struggled, and the three-time Cup Series champion Tony Stewart has started an NHRA drag racing team a couple years ago. That his wife drove for the last year, and Stewart is now driving for currently this year. SHR in the past few years, they've recently struggled, and its hefty support from Ford is set to end after the end of the season. It has also lost two major sponsors in the past few years with Smithfield and Anheuser-Busch prior to this year. So without Ford support continuing, it would have been difficult to sustain a four-car operation. This report from Stewart and Haas says we have made the difficult decision to close Stewart Haas Racing at the conclusion of the 24 season. It says it is a decision that did not come easy, nor was it made quickly. Racing is labor intensive, humbling sport. It requires unwavering commitment and vast resources, with a 365-day mindset to be better than everyone else. It's part of what makes success so rewarding, but the commitment needed to extract the maximum performance while providing sustainability is incredibly demanding. And we've reached a point in our perspective, personal and business lives, where it is time to pass the torch. Organization currently has 4 charters that it can sell. Sources indicate at least 3 of them will go to existing Cup teams, as Front Row Motorsports is looking to expand to a 3-car team. Same with 2311 and also Trackhouse Racing. All 3 of those organizations indicate they have no comment on any further charter acquisitions as of the press release today. Where the 4th charter goes is still unclear. Not having SHR obviously not having SHR on the Cup season next year will be interesting to see.
Kind of sucks.
How everything plans out. Yeah. In the organization's history, they have 69 Cup wins, with the last one coming in 2022 with Harvick, who retired after the 23 season. They also have 2 Cup Series championships. Yeah. Obviously, their current drivers are Chase Briscoe, Noah Gragson, Josh Berry, Ryan Preece, and then Xfinity Series drivers are Cole Custard and Riley Herbst.
Mm-hmm.
Briscoe who is currently 16th in the championship, has a possibility of going to the Wood Brothers Racing next year in place of Harrison Burton. That's been struggling with that seat. Let's see. Unfortunately, doesn't look like Josh Berry has any aspirations after this, because he doesn't really have a whole lot of personal sponsorships. Yeah, I don't know. It's sad to see, man.
Yeah. Seems like it was more of a Haas thing. Like he just kind of like, nah, I'm good. I'm not interested anymore.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, like I told Don earlier tonight, I feel like it's just got to the point where, Gene Haas had kind of checked out. He was focused on the F1 side, and Tony Stewart's back racing full time with his wife taking time off as they're trying to have a kid, and it just wasn't fair to the team to be kind of disconnected from what was going on. I mean, those that paid attention made the quip about or made comments about Harvick's quip on practicing in Larson's car for Wilkesboro for the All Star race, and he was joking, saying, "Oh, this is the most I've seen a team owner in years,"
Yeah.
because nobody from Stewart Haas was around when Harvick was in his final
Last year,
years
yeah.
over there at SHR. So, I mean, it's a bummer for both the Xfinity and the Cup teams. They had a lot of wins, a lot of championships, which is all you can ever want as a team. And it's a big hole that gets opened in the series. So, we'll see where the cars go. Supposedly there's landing spots for 3 of the 4. Not sure what'll happen with the 4th, but and we kind of see what evolves for Haas and for Tony Stewart.
I mean, it's kind of funny how it goes from forever to for sale.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I just feel, like I said, I feel gutted for Barry and Gregson because they just literally signed multi-year contracts that I mean aren't yeah, now that enters another legal space. Like, yeah, do they still pay Barry and Gregson their money? Like, Priest was in an option year this year, so I mean, obviously Stewart Haas isn't going to choose to pick up the option.
I think they're gonna let him go, and then I wouldn't be surprised if it goes back to like modifiers and stuff.
So, another thing too I've seen is if Stewart Haas Racing doesn't sell the charter off by the end of the year, apparently it defaults back to NASCAR for the original price that they paid NASCAR for it, which is $3 million. So, and then NASCAR essentially owns the charter, and it goes into some sort of bidding war after that for whoever wants it. From NASCAR, so
yeah.
Which, like I said, the people have really pushed for wanting Junior to have a Cup Series team, but it doesn't seem like Junior has the money to do so. But if the charter defaults back to NASCAR for $3 million, I mean, I would, if I was him, I'd be running to the bank with $3 million and picking up a charter. So, but yeah, just, I mean, you hate to see it for all the, all the crew members, all the, body shop guys. This is a huge organization. The Ford car team is not, it's not like you have a single entry team, that's going away. It's a massive organization. So,
yeah, it's sad to see them go.
Look, who was also there? You got people like Greg Zipadelli that works there. Just like, people that have been in the industry for years are now without a job. So, just crazy.
Now it makes McDowell even seem smarter.
Yeah, that's the other thing. Like, there was talks of possibly Front Row going away and getting absolved into SHR, which, and McDowell jumping ship there. But yeah, I just don't know.
Yeah, and I mean Dale Jr. was talking on his podcast this week on what the status of the charters would be, and he was saying that he had heard that the range of value for Stewart Haas Racing's charters was in the 20 to 30 million range. He said one of the last ones that sold was for 40 million, so now they're kind of going through a bit of reset. I mean, I know one sold for 40 million, but from everything that I've learned and all the things that we've dug up over the last 3 or 4 years, the true value is not near 40 million. So yeah, 20 to 25 is more in the ballpark what I think they should be going for. The question is, will Stewart Haas sell all 4 of them? Does Tony Stewart and Gene get out entirely? Holy shit, that would be weird, Dale had stated. But I mean, it doesn't seem like there's a lot of and he didn't want to speculate. And he said, quote, I hope that Tony Stewart doesn't leave NASCAR entirely. That would suck. I just think he's an icon. He's a motorsports icon, and he's done it all.
Yeah, I mean, even listening to even Kenny Wallace put out a thing last night saying he's like, I can't even imagine NASCAR without Tony Stewart in it, and he said it would be crazy if they just completely got out altogether. And then he had to release an update earlier today saying he's like, I feel bad for calling it. So, but yeah, it's definitely going to be interesting to see what happens with. Like I said, it sounds like the 3 charters or the first 3 charters are locked up, or more or less locked up.
Yeah.
So, but that 4th
million?
charter, I mean, who comes in and gets the money, and especially another thing they're discussing for next year is limiting teams to only running 3 cars unless you're grandfathered in, and Stewart Haas was going to be one of those teams that was grandfathered in along with Hendrick and Joe Gibbs. Stewart Haas would be allowed a grandfather.
I lost him.
Oh no, he died. I mean, technically, Roush would be a grandfathered in organization too, but they only run 2 cars.
Right.
So,
I mean, they had technically a 3rd car, but
yeah,
they don't really use it all up.
Well, yeah, now they got that stage 60 whatever, but
I think 60, yeah.
So, I don't know. It's gonna be crazy to see what happens. I don't know if Zin's gonna come back for the end of this or not.
Go figure. I was up on the 10-12 high and start saying Junior's coming in.
Yeah, Junior's coming back, boys. Kill the feed.
Freaking Zin.
Yeah, that was weird.
There, Storm War 2. Oh,
he's gone completely.
Storm.
Could be. We're checking to see if Zin's house is still alive.
Yeah.
Maybe, maybe not. I don't know.
Power just went off.
Oh, yep. He said power went out. So, all right. Well, I guess on that note, we will end this podcast, and we'll talk to everybody next week. Like I said, next week's going to be lots of sim racing news with all the iRacing updates coming next week and whatnot. So we'll talk to everybody then. Bye.